Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Porras, and I'm the Senior Manager for Education and Outreach at CAQH Core. It is my pleasure to welcome you today to our first look at the Phase 4 Core Certification Testing Portal. We will be joined by EdFX to share a preview with you so you're familiar and prepared for Phase 4 Core Certification once it goes live sometime this fall. Before we begin our session, I'd like to mention a few things. You can download a copy of today's presentation from the CAQH.org website. To do that, please navigate to the Core pull-down menu at the top of the CAQH.org welcome screen and select the Core Education Events page. A link to the PDF version of the presentation can be found under the listing for today's webinar. We will save time at the end of today's program dedicated to responding to audience questions. You're encouraged to submit your questions at any time during the webinar by typing them into the questions panel on your dashboard. We would like to thank our guest speakers from EdFX for joining us today. We will introduce them formally a little bit later, but wanted to extend our appreciation to Ashish Gandhi and Greg Prothero. Today we will start off with a few presentations from our colleagues at CAQH Core about Voluntary Phase 4 Core Certification. First presentation will be about the value of Voluntary Phase 4 Core Certification, and the second presentation will be a little bit more step-by-step on the certification process. After that, we'll have two presentations about the EdFX testing portal for Phase 4 Core Certification. And of course, we'll save time at the end of the session for your questions. Now, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, CAQH Core Senior Manager Matthew Albright. Matthew?
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you all for joining us today. I know we probably have many veterans of core certification out there, but just to remind you what core certification is. Core certification is really the gold standard of what a certification program should look like. The main reason being that it is a certification program designed by the healthcare industry for the healthcare industry. And the core certification program is unique because it has a kind of three-legged stool, a balance of powers. First, the requirements for testing, that is, the testing that all entities must meet in order to be considered conformant with the operating rules, are agreed upon by 130 CAQH Core participating organizations, which include all sectors of the healthcare industry and, most importantly, include the organizations out there that are actually conducting these transactions. Second, a third-party testing vendor, not otherwise affiliated with CAQH Core, actually does the testing, and we're going to hear from that testing vendor today. Lastly, CAQH Core administers the program, reviews the testing, and applications according to robust processes and policies, and awards the seal. So, nearly 300 core certifications have been awarded to date. This includes many small and regional plans, including 8 county-managed care Medi-Cal plans, 7 out of the 10 largest commercial health plans, the largest integrated healthcare system in the country, and that's the Department of Veterans Affairs, that's certified as a provider, many software solution and IT vendors, including practice management system vendors and payer-side vendors, clearinghouses and clearinghouse solutions, and a very large percentage of the United States Medicaid population, Medicaid beneficiaries, are covered by one or another core certified plan. As many of you know, we offer certifications for Phase 1, 2, and 3 operating rules, which include the eligibility, claim status, and EFT, ERA operating rules. And now we're very excited to be rolling out certification on Phase 4 this fall. So we've got a complete set of operating rules for all the transactions for which standards have been adopted. We're in beta testing now, and as Jessica says, we'll be ready to roll it out this fall. As you know, Phase 4 certification certifies conformance with the operating rules regarding claims, prior authorization, enrollment and disenrollment in a transaction, and premium payments. Phase 4 operating rules' big emphasis, if you remember, was on infrastructure, including connectivity, response times, system availability notice requirements, and other infrastructure rules that align with the infrastructure requirements of Phases 1, 2, and 3. So, if you're a health plan that has been certified in the previous phases, a core certification in Phase 4 means that your organization has uniform and consistent infrastructure for all of your EDI transactions. And I know there are vendors and clearinghouse products out there that may only support one or two of those Phase 4 transactions we talked about. Perhaps your product only facilitates claim submissions, or perhaps your organization works with the TPA, the ASOs, or employer groups on premium payments or enrollment or disenrollment transactions. So as was true with previous phases, as a vendor, you can still become certified in Phase 4 operating rules on just those transactions you support. So come join us for Phase 4 course certification coming this fall. We'll be glad to talk to you about any questions you might have on it. I'm going to turn to Drew now with a question.
Great. Thank you, Matthew. And this brings us to our first of 3 polling questions that we have for the audience today. What will happen is I will read the poll, and then you will see a box appear on your screen which you will use to log your answers. So this question asks, do you anticipate that your organization will pursue voluntary Phase 4 course certification? And I will launch that poll, and we'll pause very briefly for the audience to respond. And in which case I might have Matthew just comment very briefly on our results.
And you know, the reason for this question, it's twofold. I mean, one is so that we maybe can think about what future webinar programming we should put together for you, what kind of educational materials, and also so that we kind of prepare on our end for certification.
Exactly. We'll take about 2 more seconds. Go ahead and log your response here, and we'll share the results. I'm going to close the poll and take a look at what people replied. So we have 40% saying yes, likely sometime in the next 12 months. 36 saying that they were unsure, they need more information, and we're happy to have you on this webinar. We hope that you find it useful and informative. 10% saying no, and 9% saying it's not applicable to their stakeholder type, followed by 5% saying yes, as soon as it launches this fall. Matthew, what do you make of these results?
So I think that's great. I mean, we're looking at almost half of the people that have voted on this that are looking to get Phase 4 certified. And again, as Jessica said, as Drew has said, we'll base on many of our upcoming webinars on those numbers, and especially the remaining 36% who are unsure and need more information. And we'll touch on this later, or maybe give us a call, but there's many ways to approach certification. If you haven't been certified in previous phases, you might think about an approach where you come in and get certified in all 4 of the phases all at the same time, which may make be more efficient in terms of resources and use of staff. So anyway, those are great numbers. We appreciate that.
Yeah, and one thing for the 36% of you that are need more information, we try our best to get you the information that you need on these webinars. But if there's a particular question that we're not answering, you know that you can email us or call us, and we'll do our best to get you an answer.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. Today I'll be providing an overview of the process for course certification, and also walk through on how to navigate the CAQH website to find relevant information pertaining to course certification. The course certification page is directly accessible from the CAQH website. To access course certification content, a user should hover over the core button, which will then pop up a menu of links for course-specific content. The course certification link should be click next, which will then move users to the course certification landing page. Once you're at this landing page, there are 4 main content areas. Number 1 is the content that provides an overview of the course certification program and information about the ACA Section 1104 mandated certification process. Number 2 is the course certification process page, which provides step-by-step directions on how to navigate through the course certification process, from pledge to certification testing and submitting the applicable forms to become course certified. Number 3 is the course certified organizations page, which highlights those organizations who have completed or pledged to complete course certification. And number 4 is the core endorser page, which highlights organizations who support CAQH's core's mission and the operating rules, but do not create, use, or transmit the transactions themselves. And today I'll be talking more in detail specifically about the core certification process page on how to become, or if you're interested in becoming Phase 4 core certified. So next up, I'll walk everyone through on how to navigate the core certification process page, showing everyone on how this page is laid out and where to find important materials for those interested in pursuing core certification. The process page is divided into 4 distinct areas outlined by components. So component number 1 outlines information and links to materials related to planning and system evaluations prior to beginning the core certification process. Component 2 outlines information and resources to materials related to signing and submitting the core pledge. Component 3 outlines information and links to materials related to core certification testing. And component 4 outlines information and resources related to the application process for applying for the core seal. So in the following slides, I'll walk through each of these components in detail. So for component number 1, this outlines the first steps organizations need to take when considering core certification. During the pre-certification and system evaluation phase, organizations should review and understand the requirements of the operating rules and scope resources needed to adopt and implement these operating rules. The image on the right side of the screen shows content specific to component 1 that you'll find on the core certification process page. As you can see on the screenshot, CAQH Core offers a variety of resources to help organizations gauge their ability to adopt and become compliant with the operating rules. More specific, item number 6 on the screen is the Analysis and Planning Guide, which is an excellent resource that organizations can use to create a project plan to complete any necessary remediations for any identified system or software gaps. And I like to point out that all these resources are available for free. Component number 2 outlines the steps an organization needs to take when it decides to pursue core certification. This second component is to sign and submit the core pledge in the corresponding phase that you are seeking to become core certified. The intent of the pledge is to formally communicate your organization's commitment to pursue core certification. Pledge forms can be accessed by clicking on the Phase 1, 2, or Phase 3 hyperlinks shown in blue on the images on the right side of your screen. Further, you can see an example of the core pledge form on the screen. The core pledge form must be signed by an authorized executive level employee from your organization. Once the pledge form is signed and submitted to CAQH Core, organizations must complete certification testing within 180 business days. Next slide. So component number 3 outlines the steps an organization needs to take while undergoing core certification testing. This third component outlines and provides resources to help organizations navigate through the testing process. To complete testing, organizations must use the CAQH Core Certification Test Suites in order to maintain standard and consistent test results. Core certifying entities should work with the core authorized testing vendor to perform tests based upon testing criteria specific to an entity stakeholder type. An organization will have to complete different types of test scripts, which includes signed attestation statements, uploading documents, and transaction-based testing. To access links to the testing site from the CAQH Core authorized testing vendor, scroll all the way to the bottom of the core certification process page and click on the link below the edX icon shown on the screen. We will hear more about the process for certification testing, and specifically for Phase 4 later in today's webinar from edX, a core authorized testing vendor. Component number 4 outlines the steps an organization needs to take while applying for the core seal. This component involves submission of 3 sets of documents for each phase the applicant is applying for. So these documents include the core seal application form, the HIPAA attestation form, and the core certification fee. The core seal application form shown on your screen as the image on the right involves filling out contact and stakeholder-specific information about your organization. The HIPAA attestation form shown on your screen as the image on the left involves an organization attesting that it is compliant with the applicable HIPAA HIPAA provisions. Like the core pledge form, this form must be signed by an authorized executive level employee from your organization. Lastly, the course certification fee is based upon a stakeholder-specific fee scale, and the fee is a one-time cost for each phase of certification that your organization is seeking. The scale is shown on the image on the top of your screen. Your organization can access links to each of these application materials by navigating to component number 4 on the core certification process page. So in review, the average time to complete core certification is between 3 to 6 months, but I'd like to note that this time frame varies by your stakeholder type, your individual organization, and the amount of available resources your organization has when going through the certification process. And after an organization completes the 4 components of the core certification process, us at CAQH Core will then begin review all of your application materials submitted. And during this review process, we reserve 30 business days from the receipt of a complete application for review, approval, and distribution of the core seal. So after your organization seal is approved, CAQH Core would list your organization on our website, and this can be found on the Core Certified Organization page. This page can be accessed by clicking the Core Certified Organization link under the Core Certification menu on the left pane of your web browser. As you can see from the screenshot on the slide, you can view both Core Certified organizations and those organizations that have pledged to become Core Certified on the table. So if looking at this table, the navigation is relatively simple. You can click on the stakeholder-specific tabs to view the status of an organization certification by clicking on the appropriate stakeholder type category. And the organization is considered to be certified if there's no parenthetical around the phase number. And if you see a parenthetical around on the phase number, that means the organization has pledged to become certified on that particular phase. So we, for those organizations that are interested in becoming core certified or are looking to be pledged, we hope to see you on this list soon. The next slide provides an overview of where you can find resources for Phase 4 specific content if you're interested in pursuing certification for Phase 4. This page can be accessed by navigating to the operating rules section of our website, and you can view the Phase 4 operating rules and more specifically for certification testing, the Phase 4 certification test suite, which you can find information on the testing tasks for Phase 4 certification. So if you want to get ahead of the game and start planning before Phase 4 launches in the fall, you can actually view the actual test scripts that will be tested out when you go through the testing process by clicking on the Phase 4 test suite link.
Our last presenter was Taha Anjawala, Senior Associate at CAQH Core. Thank you, Taha, for walking us through the 4 components of core certification. And now I would like to introduce our 2 guest speakers from EdFX. First, I'd like to introduce Ashish Gandhi, who's a Senior Technical Project Manager at EdFX, currently working with multiple healthcare entities to help them reap the benefits of EdFX compliance and smart training solutions. He also manages the EdFX Core Conformance Testing Portal and works with CAQH Core to help multiple testing entities on their road to complete voluntary core certification. Our second speaker is Greg Prothero, who is the Director of Product Marketing at EdFX. Greg's team currently supports the EdFX Administrative Simplification Initiatives, which include the Smart Trading and Compliance product lines. In October, Greg will have been at EdFX for 4 years, and he has helped launch a handful of innovative products that range from IT interoperability to value-based care applications. And now Ashish will start us off with an overview. Welcome, Ashish.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you, Taha and Matthew, for setting up the context for core certification. Hi, everyone, and good afternoon. Myself, Ashish Gandhi, as Jessica introduced. So I will today walk you through to the testing portal that we have in place at EdFX website, and also some key learnings that we have from our experience working with multiple organizations on their journey to core certification. Next slide, please. Yeah, so just wanted to give you a little background about Edifex and our presence in the healthcare domain. As you can see, we have helped more than 350 organizations so far who trust us for their EDI validations and HIPAA compliance solutions that we offer them. And we are in fact the industry leaders in EDI validation and HIPAA compliance. On a journey with the CAQH, we are authorized testing vendor, and we have worked on all the phases, phase 1, 2, 3 with CAQH and helped multiple organizations so far for about 10 years. And from that, we have gained a great amount of experience through which we have come up with multiple solutions which can expedite the course certification process, as well as then you can monitor in your production the compliance SLAs that are there in with core. Next slide, please. So based on our experience on working with core certified entities, these are some of the challenges that they share with us or that we come to know working with them. I just wanted to highlight a few of those challenges that are listed here, like their internal system, how to build their internal system, whether they need to buy a new infrastructure or not. So those kind of questions comes to us. And then key component has been connectivity throughout from phase 2, 3, 1, and now in phase 4 also. So they have a lot of questions around connectivity, how it works, how we can set up the connectivity piece. Master test bed data, again, there's some set of test cases which require some test data that you need to set up in your test environment so that you can go through and pass the test cases. So a lot of questions comes around and they have challenges to set up their master test bed data. And then understanding the rules and policies in case they have any question, they reach out, whom they reach to, they can reach out to us or CAQH. So these kind of questions we receive. And then after going through the certification, how they can maintain the compliance and monitor it. And also sometimes they have limitations on the resources, how they can plan for it, how much time does it take. So as Taha has already highlighted, it takes 3 to 6 months approximately to finish the certification. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is based on our experience, how the workflow looks like for testing. How you go about it, you assess the rules, you engage your internal resources to review those rules, and then you do a gap analysis of the rules. Where are you having gaps in your current system and how you can mitigate those, whether you can build something in-house or you can remediate those through some products that are available in the market. And then you can engage the trading partner to test it and come up with a project plan about the core certification. And then you come to our site, which we are authorized testing vendor, to perform the testing. And finally, once the testing is done and we share the result with CAQH, you can go to CAQH for the core seal. So for phase 1, 2, 3, we have multiple organizations like 190 plus organizations so far who has finished testing on our portal. And for phase 4, which is currently in beta testing phase, there are a couple of organizations who are right now in process of doing the beta testing. Next slide, please. So these are a couple of useful, very useful hints that we wanted to share with you all, how you can prepare yourself better for core certification testing on our portal. This is again based out of our experience with multiple organizations. So you review all the documentation that is available on the CAQH website, as Taha highlighted, and on our website too. So you go through all the mandatory rules that are there, testbed data. Make sure you understand those clearly and understand the kind of test cases you will have on the website before you actually register on our website. And second piece is, even though this is one of the rules, but again, it's important to highlight it because connectivity is one piece where a lot of organization takes time to execute, and it's longest pole in the tent, I would say. So you need to understand the connectivity rule very well before you actually start your testing. So there are enhancements that has happened on the connectivity rules from phase 2 and 3, but yes, if you understand the phase 2, 3 rules, it will be easier for you to understand the phase 4 connectivity rules as well. Thank you. Move ahead, please. Yeah. So now I just wanted to go through some screenshot. It's a demo of the screens that we have on our portal, how it looks like. how you can register on a screen. So first screen is basically talks about how you can come to edufex.com and go to the core login page. As you can see in the encircled button, there's a core login page, core login button on the edufex.com website, which once you click, you will be directed to the registration or the login screens. This portal is available 24/7 and is having all the test suites that is approved by CAQH and core. And this is already having online and call support available in case you face any issue, you want to have any interaction with us. Next slide, please. So once you click the button of the core login, this is the page that comes up. This basically have the registration request, and in case you're already registered, you can go to the specific phase where you want to log in. Right now, as you can see, the phase 4 is in beta testing, so it has their login available. And once the entity is registered for beta testing, they can log in into phase 4 page once the account is approved. Next slide, please. So this is an important document that is available prior to registration as well. So this document you can download from our website. It's basically a quick start guide that gives you an idea how the portal looks like, what are the key features, what you can expect from the portal, and what kind of different tasks that will be available, different test cases, and the look and feel of the system, and also how you can manage your account in case you have an organization who has multiple people who are going to be doing testing. How you can add those multiple user in a single account. So this is some questions that we receive from the entities a lot, and then how you can connect with us, how you can basically log an issue in a system, or you can dial or call our product support. Next slide, please. So once you decide to register on the portal, this is what the wizard looks like. And it asks for some very basic details like the name of the organization or name of the person who is registering, its address, its contact details. Not all of them are mandatory, but in case you want to add. The important thing that I want to highlight here is the stakeholder type. So you know as an entity who you are representing, whether you're a health plan or a provider, but for us, it's very important to know what entity you are representing so that we can map the relevant programs or the test cases to your account. So once you select this and your account is approved, we will add those programs and the test cases in your account so that you can work on the specific set of test cases. Next slide, please. So once you are successfully logged in and your account is approved, this is how your first page looks like, or your login. After your login, this is what it looks like. It has various sections. As I said, the quick start guide was available earlier also before login, before registration, and after login also. So you can download the quick start guide here also. And also there's important links that you can visit, like the core pledge document and the phase 4 set of rules. It will refer the same document that are available on the CAQH website too. On the top, you can see tabs for programs. These tabs represent the list of programs that has been assigned to you as a testing entity. And on the right side top corner, there is an option to manage your account, your contact details, your user that are enrolled to do a testing. And in case you are interested to visit the Edufex solutions, there's on the right side panel, you can go through that menu and go to the specific section to visit our compliance solution sections as well. Next slide, please. Yeah. So once you click on the programs tab on the top, it will list down all the related programs that are applicable to you as a testing entity. First one is it's a common to everyone. It's a health program. No test case is required to be executed there, but it lists down important artifacts that you can refer while doing testing. In case you need any help on those programs, you can refer this program. And then we have specific program for health plan and provider. And it lists down, once you click the hyperlink, it lists down all the tasks that are relevant for health plan and provider. So this account right now is set up for a clearinghouse, which is there for both health plan and provider. So you can see the programs for both health plan and provider in the same account. Next slide, please. So once you click the specific program, this is how the list of test cases looks like. So as you can see, there are 3 columns to it. One describes the task name or the test case name. Other is how is it required for you as a testing entity, and last one is what's the status of the task currently, whether it's complete, whether it's incomplete, whether it's I'm sorry, whether it's failed or what. So you can see and filter out, or you can sort on the task required or the task status message, and you can drill down the details of the task or the test case itself. And on the left side, you have important links like how you can connect to Edifix support in case you need any help, and add an issue in case you're not able to troubleshoot anything. Next slide, please. So next few slides will list down various testing options that are available or that will be given to you on the testing portal itself. So the first and most important would be the testing option task. Once you select this, or once you select any option to this, this will mark the test cases or list of test cases as applicable and non-applicable in the program. So like as you can see, this is for a health plan, and in case he's processing all the claims types like institutional, professional, and dental, and in both the modes like real-time and batch mode, then all the relevant test cases will be added to his program. But in case you are an entity who is specific to a dental claim only, then you can select that specific option, and those only dental test cases will be applicable to you. And the rest of the test cases will be marked not applicable. Next slide, please. And this is similar to 837. It is for 278, but this is just asking you for the processing or the processing modes in case you are dealing just with real-time transaction or prior authorization. You can select the real-time. In case you are just dealing with the batch 278 prior authorization, then you just select the batch processing mode. In case you are doing both, you just select the last option, and that will give us enough information to mark those test cases applicable and non-applicable for 278. Next slide, please. Yeah. This is another category of tasks that you will face during testing, which is primarily to do with downloading a test files. So some of the test cases requires you to have, as a prerequisite, to have a test file, and you have to set up your system to pass this test files to our system through a connectivity protocols, and we can validate. But the scenario we have set up is having the right test file or not. So once you download the test file, you mark this test case as complete, so we know that you have downloaded the test file and you're going to use the test file in your system. Next slide, please. Now, this is the connectivity task. As I've highlighted earlier, a lot of people face, a lot of entities face issues with the connectivity task. So I wanted to highlight it specifically. And it gives out all the detailed information of the testing instructions, how you can use this task and set up your system. Like this is for phase 4, 837 dental claim, valid dental claim and response for 277 CA. There are changes done in the connectivity rules for phase 4. I will talk about in the next slide, but just to give you an idea, it gives out the detailed information about the connectivity rules, what kind of setup you should have, and the URL that we'll be expecting once you run in the visit, and what kind of a processing mode and authentication we are expecting. Next slide, please. So once you select the run test wizard on the connectivity task, this is a screen that comes up. So this is for the health plan, in case you're registered as a health plan. So you have to specify a URL. Basically, it's a URL for the provider which they're going to hit once they want to submit any claim request or prior authorization request. So it will be a URL which will support SOAP digital connectivity protocol, and which is phase 4 onwards will know you're not supporting the HTTP MIME. So that's a change from phase 1 to phase 4. And also the authentication method. Those who are familiar with phase 1, 2, 3, they know there were 2 authentication methods earlier. Now it's just one, which is X509 certificate. So no more we are supporting the username and password authentication. And next important change is the support of multiple SHA algorithm. previously it was just one algorithm that was supported. Now as a health plan, you need to support multiple algorithms so that the provider who has different set of algorithm in their system, they can connect with your systems too. So there is a support to multiple algorithms. So in case you want to test for a specific SHA algorithm type, you can just select from this drop down and pass on the URL and submit the test case, and will validate whether you have used the right algorithm or not. It will respond back with the same set of algorithm in the payload. Next slide, please. So this is another category of task, like the download. This is an upload task. So this lot of test rules from the core requires you to provide the supporting artifacts or supporting documentation for the test case, like you need to share your companion guide, your server logs, or the table of content from your companion guide. So this test case primarily let you upload the relevant supporting document. As you can see in the screenshot, this is primarily talking about the companion guide upload. So you just upload it supports multiple formats like PDF, doc format, JPEG, any format you talk about, it's going to be supported on the portal. So you can upload the table of content from your companion guide that you're going to publish on the website onto this page. And once you upload the file, you just mark the test case as complete. The only difference with this test case is once you mark this as complete, it will come to Edifex for review, and we will review it is as per the core recommendations. If it is yes, then we'll approve the test case. Otherwise, we'll send a note back to you so that you can look into and provide the relevant information. Next slide, please. So this is another task, or the last task. Basically, I would want to talk about is the testing completion task. This is important in the sense this task, once you complete it, will let us know that you have finished your testing on the portal. So this task lists various important documents too, as you can see, that you can use after finishing your testing, like core pledge and core application seal. So it's all available on the CAQH website too, but it's just to help you in case you don't have it already downloaded. You can use this task to refer those documents. And once you mark this test case as complete, we'll pull the information and verify whether all the test cases that are applicable to you as a testing entity are completed by you and are in pass status. And once that report is ready, we'll send it back to CAQH. And once you submit your core seal application, they will validate the core seal with the report that we have sent, and will approve your core seal. Next slide, please. So apart from the task, one important feature that is also available on the portal itself is, in case you ran out of any issue, you're not able to troubleshoot, and you need any help on understanding the task better, or you are facing some errors in your connectivity task, you can use this add issue option easily. So what this task does is, what this option does is rather, it gives you a platform to provide the details of the issue you are facing, and that connect you with us. And once you submit the issue, it will directly come to our bucket, and we can respond back quickly within 24 hours to your issue. And you can get to the details, and we can set up a call if need be. If you need more relevant information and not able to resolve through this, you can always go into the call as well. But this is an easy medium for you in case you want to share some artifacts that you are facing issue with. You can publish it here, and we can get to it very quickly. Thank you. This is pretty much we have on the phase 4 portal. The look and feel has remained the same, but the important thing is it's capturing each and every core required test cases for certification on the portal itself. Thank you.
Great. Ashish, thanks so much, and I hope everyone is having a good one. Still in there with me. My name is Greg Prothero. I'm the product manager at Edifex, as introduced early. And what I'm going to do is kind of talk about the ongoing options that Edifex can offer, also what you should be thinking about as an organization. So this is the extended testing and monitoring. So what are really the business drivers? You know, the testing that you just saw, the conformance testing, is a one-time. there are plenty of drivers to extend your testing, and HHS does require that you maintain that compliance for operating rules. So really you would have to have an ongoing kind of measure of your production environment, you know. So a couple of things is really to avoid any penalties, right, from phase 1 through 3, and then any subsequent ones, since audits will start happening. Second would be really to support your plan's, you know, ROI. And this could include, you know, as we mentioned, simplification, like really increasing the adoption of electronic transactions in the organization. And then finally, avoiding those costly support calls from providers or from your partners. So next. So here's just kind of an overview, really, from an EdFX perspective of how we can assist and how we've helped a lot of other customers and clients. Starting really at the assessment phase and create a framework to help with that gap analysis, right? Our experts and consultants really kind of help you quickly evaluate your situation and really make that recommendation if you haven't already or have those resources available to you. That second phase, which is really implementation, we do have products that can assist here, or you can do them internally. So we just want to understand that there is, you know, solutions that can help transactional workflows and hopefully enrich data, right, that moves through this process, and really kind of take advantage of both products and services that we might have offer. And then this is moving into what we just discussed is testing. And the first we think is, you know, obviously you could do the conformance testing online, which is available for free, but that's really not going to help your end-to-end, maybe complex and customized testing process. And we have a lot of solutions and products here that can assist the partnership, the partners you have to help testing end-to-end. And so we just mentioned some of these test cases. With extended monitoring, you do that ongoing and create your own. And so there's kind of an extended solution there. And then finally, you know, you go to the website, you know, get certified, and we help you get your certification through CORE. And then after that, then there's the obviously ongoing SLA monitoring. So this is the kind of the most important point. It's really that surveillance of your network, right? EdFX does offer a web-based, as you see here, is a web-based dashboard, hopefully making it simple for any kind of participants. It's really that insurance policy, right, for making sure your SLAs are met, and if any issues do crop up, right, you can really take advantage of it in real time. So we just want to make sure that you understand some of the things we have. So next slide. This is really just more of a link, so when you do download this or get a copy of this, you can see some of the links from an artifact standpoint. You can see some of our data sheets that we have available. We have white papers. We've done a ton of work with CORE, as mentioned, over 10 years of work here. So we do have the expertise, and we, you know, we could be a valuable partner when you go through the implementation process here. So we have links out here. We have a contact. You know, if you really want to get involved and learn more, please visit the website at edfx.com/e, right, to you know sign up for our blogs that are coming out. And then we have underneath that just the latest information on some of the services, solutions, and products we offer. And then obviously you can follow us on LinkedIn. So thank you so much for everyone's participation.
Great. Thank you so much, Greg, and thank you, Ashish, for your presentation as well. And we'll move into our second and third polling question of the webinar, and these get really at our education and outreach efforts with you, our audience. So this question asks, before this webinar, what level of knowledge did you have regarding voluntary core certification? And this is core certification in general. So I will open that poll and just take a quick few seconds to answer this, and we'll share the results when that's complete. And Jessica and Matthew and Taha, I might have you comment very briefly. Take about 2 more seconds. Try and get a majority of the audience to register their results. I'll close the poll and share what we have here. So 45% said that they were very aware, 41% said they were somewhat, and 14% saying not aware. So for the somewhat and not aware, I would say hopefully you found this helpful. And of course, you can reach out to us anytime you do have questions. But Matthew or Jessica?
So I'm very excited about this because I think a lot of the poll questions, I didn't know what the answers would be. Like sometimes you can predict what people are going to answer, but this is the second poll question where I'm kind of surprised. So it looks like it's half and half. Half are very aware, and it must be, you know, some of our veterans of the certification coming back to see phase 4, which is exciting. And then I think the other half that are somewhat aware, and then maybe the 15% that wandered into the webinar not sure what was going on. So,
oh, but from you know, that's a good point, and from, you know, our perspective on education and outreach, I mean, what this tells me is that we really need to almost work on 2 tracks so that we can make sure that the audience gets what they need where they are. So this is very helpful information for Drew and I when we put together future programming. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. And we'll go to our third and final poll of the webinar, and this one asks, what prompted your interest to attend this webinar on voluntary phase 4 course certification? And this is a check all that apply. There might be more than one reason, so go ahead and check the ones that are most applicable. And Matthew and Jessica, just like last time, I'll have you make a quick comment. So log your results, and or log your poll, and I'll share the results. We'll take about 5 more seconds. Okay, got a 61% have voted, so I'll close the poll and share the results here. So 67% said that they're seeking further information on phase 4 certification, followed by 43% saying they're seeking further information on just general voluntary course certification, 17% saying some other reason, and then 2% saying that they were requested by a trading partner or client to learn more about this. So Matthew or Taha?
So I hate to start with the negative, but I think the 2% I think is very interesting. We've heard a lot that a lot of health plans are requiring their trading partners and their vendors and IT vendors to be certified. And I know we have a lot of health plans out there in the virtual audience there. So I would just recommend that you health plans out there, when you're thinking about course certification, a good pathway, which may be a requirement anyway, is to make sure all your trading partners and all of your vendors or IT solutions are course certified, or, you know, at the very least, make sure they're following the operating rules, and then you're far along on the way to compliance.
Right, and I'll just clarify, 62% of the audience voted, and since this is a check all that apply, we'll further hash out just who voted which way, but just so we're aware of how the numbers break down.
Yeah, and you know, from my perspective, you know, what this says to me is that, you know, the presentation that Matthew gave in the beginning of the webinar, which was a little bit more general about course certification, is still critically important, since 40% of the audience was also looking for that information. So it sort of confirmed that this webinar was sort of segmented correctly, but also, you know, the 67% that are here for phase 4 certification, that's who we want on this webinar, because that's what it's about. So this is very helpful. Thank you. And now we've got a little bit of time for Q&A. If you haven't done so already, please submit your questions on the questions and put them on the questions panel on the dashboard. So we've got a question, and I'm going to throw this one to you, Taha. So it looks like it's a company out there that has multiple solutions and systems, and they're trying to figure out, do all the systems and solutions need to test, or is there one tester? Can you kind of navigate this for us?
Yeah, sure. That's definitely a good question. And I believe the answer to this is depending on what type of stakeholder your organization is. So if you're interested in pursuing the core certification vendor or clearinghouse seal, so if we have different software or software products, solutions, or different services that as a vendor or clearinghouse that you offer or that you sell, we would require that each of those solutions get certified individually. And if you are a health plan, then and have multiple systems that handle, that do different transactions, we just require you to test kind of one specific system. When you undergo certification testing, you don't have to test all systems. And we do have a HIPAA attestation form that we require you to have an executive level authorized individual from your company to sign to attest that all your systems are conformant with certification.
Thank you, Taha. So the next question, I'm not sure if this is a question for Matthew or perhaps Greg. So the question is, are there common pitfalls that can be anticipated as we prepare for Phase 4 certification?
So I'll start, and then maybe I'll turn it over to EdFX. This is Matthew. And I'd say, and I think this was actually pointed out during the EdFX presentation, connectivity is really something you want to prepare for. You want to get in with our tools, make sure you know what the operating rule says in terms of connectivity, make sure you know what the, in the planning analysis guide, what's required. And then I'll turn it to EdFX to maybe respond to the question more, but certainly you want to check out what's actually in the testing task or the testing platform in terms of what is required. And you might want to do that even before you, as you're preparing to start the test. So get in there and find exactly what the question is so that you're able for it. And I'll go ahead and turn it to EdFX, Greg or Ashish.
Yeah, I'll just mention something that the webinar right before this, right last week, I think would be a great reference to answer some of that question, because we had, our beta, tester, Humana, right, go through this, and they put out a best practice that they found out would really work for them. I think that would be something to reference and go back. And I like to say is, the champion is really driving this. You've got to have a champion within the company, right, to champion this, making sure that there's managed resources, not only budget, but the right people, doing the tasks, and then really get the company behind this, right. And so that's one thing to, I think, through Phase 3 was, hey, this is a mandate, let's do this. And then 4, now it's like, let's do this again, right? We've already tried, we have to do this, right, from 1, 2, 3. Let's get behind this. It's a that's, I think that's the biggest part, is to get the project going and manage it. And so that would just be my kind of like just throwing out there. So
yeah, and I'd say one other. I don't know if it's an obstacle. At least I don't know if it's an obstacle yet. But remember that Phase 4 has operating rules for 4 different transactions. And to kind of bounce off of what Greg was saying, 2 of those transactions, the enrollment and disenrollment and the premium payment transactions, it could be in your organization, especially if you're a health plan, that those transactions are conducted in different departments. And you might be dealing with a whole different group. In fact, I'm sure you're dealing with a whole different group of trading partners and vendors and solutions. And so that might be another thing to think about when you're preparing for this, and you're looking for a champion, and you're looking for the resources you need across your organization, to remember that 2 of those transactions involve the ASO world and the insurer world and the group health plan rule and the TPA world, right? So you're dealing with maybe a whole different set of things that you need to coordinate.
Thank you, Matthew. So the next question, it looks like someone's asking a question that something that was referenced a few webinars ago. I think it was our webinar with maybe with Post and Track in late September. But so the question is, what is CORE doing with the prior authorization operating rules? What's the status of that?
So certainly it's still very early in there. It is true that we're launching an effort, but it's still very much in the kind of background research phases. I would pay attention very closely maybe to the next town hall for an updated status about it. But for now, I would say we certainly don't have specific operating rules that we're looking at. We're looking at what's been called for in the NCAA DHS recommendations, what we've seen and heard in some of the meetings, WEDI meetings, and that kind of thing. So certainly nothing specific yet, and hopefully the town hall will have an update on that.
Yeah, and we do have one of those scheduled in early November, so stay tuned. The next question is for Taha. So is an organization required to complete phase 3 certification before testing for phase 4? And I think we've gotten questions on this before where it's just a little bit confusing about whether there's an order or they can do them all at once.
So definitely a good question, and it's definitely tiered depending on your organization stakeholder type. So if you're a health plan or provider, you would have to go through phase 1, 2, and 3 certification prior to pursuing phase 4 certification. So you would have to go through that sequential process. But you can choose to certify all 4 phases at one time if you haven't started certification, or you could take it step by step. If you are a vendor or a clearinghouse that has products or solutions, if the product or solution offers transactions that are offered that are eligible for phase 1, 2, and 3. So, for example, if your product does eligibility, claim status, EFT, ERA, and the phase 4 transactions, then you would have to go through that sequential order. But if you offer a product or solution or service that just focuses on the phase 4 transactions and not the other transactions, then you could actually pursue phase 4 certification without having to complete certification on the other phases.
Thank you, Taha. So for the last question, and we've gotten a couple of these, and I think it's more pertinent to the operating rules that are ACA mandated, but the questions are about enforcement. If, a core certified company believes that another, that a core certified trading partner is not conforming, or what should they do? Who should they contact?
So sure, this is Matthew. In the instance that Jessica just mentioned, if you're a provider or you're another core certified entity and you are receiving transactions from a core certified entity, then we do have an enforcement process where you can submit a complaint to us. There's a number of requirements in terms of submitting a complaint. We've got a form, and you've got to provide examples, but there's certainly an avenue for that. And if you're interested in that, please either shoot us an email or check a look on our web page under the enforcement that can talk a little bit more about it. But that's one avenue. And then just to summarize that, that's really about a core certified entity. So that's one entity that you can one approach that you can go through if it's a core certified entity that is sending you something that you don't think is conforming with the operating rules. Now, if that's not your situation, or if you want to go a different avenue, there's also HHS, which has its own complaint-driven process, and you can submit a complaint to HHS online. And I'm going to turn to probably Jessica here in a minute to remember. Oh, it's the asset system, right? So if you type in ASETT, I believe, and put administrative simplification, it should come up. And with that, you can submit any HIPAA compliant complaint having to do with administrative simplification. Of course, you probably know that privacy and security, you go to the Office of Civil Rights, but this one would go to CMS. Which would have the authority to act on those complaints. And you'll find in those complaints that there's a number of criteria too for submitting complaints, very parallel to ours actually. You've got to kind of list what the actual instances of noncompliance are. So there's two avenues, and certainly the HHS avenue, it doesn't matter if the entity is core certified or not. They will pursue all complaints against core certified entities or even business associates. So, just to remind everybody, business associates are now at just about the same level, if not the same level of responsibility in terms of complying with these requirements. And so HHS is handling complaints and may sometime soon do audits against business associates that are working on behalf of these HIPAA-covered entities.
Thank you, Matthew. And thank you to our guest speakers, Greg and Ashish. Thank you for joining us today. It looks like we're about out of time. So wanted to remind you that in about 24 hours, a recording of the session will be available online and will also be sent to you. This slide, these are some new e-learning resources that we've developed. We've been plugging them during the last couple webinars. If you use them and you have any feedback, we welcome that. Next slide, these are our next few upcoming webinars, including that town hall that we were talking about earlier, where you kind of get the latest and greatest on what we're up to. But also next week, there's one on denial management with Anthem, and they've got some really interesting information to share with us, so hope you'll join us for that. These are some ways to contact us by email, some of our links to our big resources, and I think that's about it. Thank you for joining us. Have a good rest of your day.